Okay, so today we are going to discuss on your last AFR paper, question number 1 on consolidation, right? So hope you have attempted this one, right? So uh, keep that in mind. Let's move to question number 1, right? Okay, this is for 35 marks, means you need to finish this question, this consolidation sum within an hour, right? The maximum time you can take for this question is 60 minutes. right? පැයක් ඇතුළත සාමාන්‍යයෙන් consolidation sum එක ඔයාලගේ exam එකේ ඔයාලා හදලා ඉවර කරන්න ඕන. Right. Okay, what it says. South PLC has acquired 70% of East PLC on 1st of October 2012. The first acquisition information is given. In addition, South PLC and East PLC have respectively acquired these percentages of West PLC on 31st December 2017. And the statement of financial position as at 31st March 2018 and statement of comprehensive income for the year then ended of these three companies appear below. Acquisition details tika denama, then they have given us the P&L and balance sheet of these three individual companies, right? And then they have provided some additional information, and what we need to do is this. We need to calculate the goodwill on acquisition, and we need to prepare the consolidated statement of comprehensive income and the consolidated statement of financial position. Right. In terms of consolidation sums, what is the first thing we need to do? How we enter to this type of a question? මේ වගේ consolidation ගානකට අපි enter වෙන්නේ කොහොමද? Right. First, we need to have that big picture, right? We need to have that big picture in our mind. Yes, we need to map the given information, right? So then after mapping, we can get a clear understanding of what has happened. කවද්ද මොකද්ද උනේ? right? මෙන්න මෙදා මෙන්න මේ කම්පැනි එක මෙන්න මෙයා acquire කරගෙන මෙන්න ඉන්වෙස්ට් කරපු ගාන මෙන්න acquire කරගන්න දවසේ තිබ්බ එයාලගේ net assets, right? Right. So like that way we can have a clear picture of this sum, right? ඉස්ස ගානේ අපි ඔය additional information වලට treat කරන්න කලින් මොකද්ද වෙලා තියෙන්නේ, මොන වගේ structure එකක්ද තියෙන්නේ, what kind of a group structure we need to deal with, right? We need to get that understanding. So first we need to map these given information. See here, South PLC has acquired 70% of East PLC on 1st of October 2012, right? Yeah, on 1st of October 2012, right? South PLC I will denote it by S. In your exams also use these short terms, right? Abbreviations. South PLC has acquired 70% of East PLC on this date. That is the first information given, right? Exam එකේදීත් මේක අර long නම් ලියන්න යන්න ඕනේ නැහැ, abbreviations පාවිච්චි කරලා පුළුවන් තරමක් short කරගන්න, right? In order to save your time. හරි. මේ information එක තමයි ඔය map කරේ. Then in addition, South PLC and East PLC have respectively acquired 28% and 60% of West PLC on 31st December 2017, right? On 31st December 2017, here, on 31st December 2017, South PLC and East PLC, right? South PLC and East PLC has invested on West PLC, denoted by W. What are the percentages? South PLC එක West ලගේ 128ක් acquire කරගන්නවලු, right? And South PLC 28%, East PLC 60%, right? East PLC 60%. The other information given. Okay. And then they have given us the P&Ls and balance sheets. Right. So now we are preparing our consolidated financial statement for the year ended on 31st March 2018. When the financial statement here, right here, we need to prepare this consolidated statement of comprehensive income and financial position for the year ended on 31st March 2018. First of all, tell me whether this West PLC, is this W is a subsidiary for us via S. W subsidiary. Can we consider W as a subsidiary for us? Or do we have the controlling power over W? W control karanna puluwanda? Yes or no? Yes. Why? E is already a subsidiary for us. E කියලා කියන්නේ අපිට subsidiary එකක්. අපි 170ක් acquire කරගෙන තියෙන්නේ. ඊට පස්සේ තමයි මේ transaction එක වෙන්නේ. එතකොට අපේ subsidiary එකට W control කරන්න පුළුවන්. They have acquired more than 50% of W. Means, right? W ඊට control කරන්න පුළුවන්. E අපේ subsidiary එකක් නිසා අපිට control කරන්න පුළුවන්. It means we can control W as well. Therefore, we have the controlling power over W. Hence, W is a subsidiary for us. එතකොට E කියලා කියන්නේත් අපිට subsidiary එකක්. W කියලා කියන්නේත් අපිට subsidiary එකක්. Right? Okay. Here, this W has become a subsidiary for us on this date, 31st December 2017. Again, 2017-18 financial year එක අතරමැද තමයි මේ acquisition එක වෙලා තියෙන්නේ. එහෙනම් W අපේ subsidiary එකක් විදිහට කොච්චර කාලයක් ඉඳලා තියෙනවද? That one we need to consider when preparing consolidated financial statements. For how many months does this W or West PLC has become a subsidiary for us? Has been a subsidiary for us. අපේ subsidiary එකක් විදිහට මාස කීයක් ඉඳලා තියෙනවද? මේ financial year එක ඉවර වෙද්දී. From this day to this date there are how many months? 3 months. Right? මාස 3ක් එයා අපේ subsidiary එකක් විදිහට ඉඳලා තියෙනවා. Right. Okay. Now we can develop our group structure. Right? Now we can develop our group structure based on this information. Right? Based on this information. Right? So what has happened here? So I'm using these color codes for your understanding now. S in black, E in blue, and West in W. Okay. Now tell me by looking at these graphs, right, or these flow diagrams, company S has acquired how many shares of company W? S කියන එක්කෙනා W ලගේ 28%. Right? S කියන එක්කෙනා E කියන company එකේ 70%. 70%. E කියන එක්කෙනා W කියන company එකේ 60%. Right? So this is how our group structure looks like. අපි මෙයාලට කියනවා මොකද්ද? This is a D-shaped group structure. Right? D-shaped group structure එකක් අපිට තියෙනවා. Right? Now, then what we need to do? Right? Then we need to find the effective holding percentages and NCI percentages. So as per this group structure, what are the two subsidiaries for us? අපේ subsidiaries දෙක කවුද? එකක් East PLC, අනිත් එක West PLC. These are the two subsidiaries. If we take East PLC, E කියන එක්කෙනා ගත්තොත් what is the effective holding percentage? effectively අපි E කියන එක්කෙනාගේ 100ට කීයක් control කරනවද? hold කරන් තියාගෙන ඉන්නවද? අපිට කීයක් අයිතිද? 70%. It means NCI percentage should be 30%, right? But look at W. W කියන company එක අපිත් acquire කරන් ඉන්නව 128ක් directly, right? අපේ subsidiary එකත් 160ක් acquire කරන් තියාගෙන ඉන්නවා, right? But here we prepare financial statements, right? Assuming we are South PLC group. අපි South PLC group එක කියන නමින් තමයි අපි console හදන්නේ. එහෙනම් මෙන්න මේ company පැත්තෙන් ඉඳන් තමයි අපි හැම දෙයක්ම බලන්න ඕන, right? So in terms of West, what should be the effective holding percentage then? West කියන company එකේ අපි directly අරන් තියෙනවා 28%. Right? We have directly acquired 28%. And through our subsidiary we have acquired this much. එයා එතකොට 160 අපිට එකපාර ගන්න බෑ. ඇයි? අපි direct investment එකක් නෙවෙයි this 60%. Through our subsidiary we have acquired 60%. It means what is the percentage we need to consider? We have acquired 70% of E and our subsidiary has acquired 60% of W. This is the percentage we need to consider as the effective holding percentage. Means what should be the percentage? 70 into 60 plus 28. 70%. Right? 70%. Means NCI percentage should be 30%. Total. Yes. Right? එතකොට අපේ subsidiaries දෙකේම effective holding NCI percentages සමානයි. මේ ගානේ නම්. Right? Okay. Then what we need to do? Now we have an understanding, we have an idea on how the things are going. Right? මෙදා මෙන්න මෙහෙම දෙයක් වුණා, මෙදා මෙහෙම වගේ දෙයක් වුණා. Then our group structure is looking like this. These are our effective holding percentages. These are our NCI percentages. Then what should be our next step? ඊට පස්සේ අපි මොකද කරන්නේ? Right? Now we can start ruling the sum. අපිට ගන්න rule කරන්න පටන් ගන්න පුළුවන්. Right? Here statement of financial position. This is what we need to prepare. Right? South PLC Group consolidated statement of financial position as at 31st March 2018. Right? මේ balance sheet එකේ තියෙන items අපි එහෙම ගන්නවා. Apart from investment. Right? Investment කියන එක කොහොමද cancel වෙලා යනවා entries වලදී. Therefore apart from investment, other figures we take as it is. Here PPE. PPE කියලා අපි ගන්නේ මොකද්ද? මේ දෙකම අපේ subsidiaries. අපි South PLC Group එකේ financial statements හදන්නේ. එහෙනම් අපි දන්නවා assets and liabilities in consolidation we do what? Line by line addition. Then we need to add all these 3 line items: 400,000, 200,000 and 250,000. That is how this 850 appears here. Right? Investment property here. South PLC ලගේ තියෙනවා 25,000, East PLC ලගේ තියෙනවා 15,000. Then the sum of these two should be 40,000. මේ 40,000 තමයි මෙතනට අරන් තියෙන්නේ. Right? That is the first thing you need to do. Right? These things, right, will appear with additional information, so we keep spaces for these. And then inventories we have the sum of these 3 line items. Account receivable වලත් එහෙමයි. මේ තුනේ එකතු 12යි 20යි 30යි 30000. Right? Here current account balances, right? Only 1 line item, so that figure we should have to take it here. Right? So like that way all the assets and liabilities we need to consider here, right? With respect to line by line addition. Right? We need to do line by line addition for all assets and liabilities, whether it is current or non-current. Current උනත් එකයි non-current උනත් එකයි. Assets liabilities කියන දෙන්නගේ අපි කරන්නේ line by line addition. Right? And here, right, when it comes to equity, right here, when it comes to equity, we consider only what? At the initial stage, we consider only the amounts of the parent, right? Parent company ke amounts vitarai api consider karanne initial stage ekedi. For an example here, the share capital of South PLC is 300,000. That is the figure we have considered here. Line by line additions වලට යන්නේ assets and liabilities විතරයි. Equity වලට එද්දි අපි පොඩ්ඩක් පරිස්සම් වෙන්න ඕන. එතනදී right අපි share capital ගොඩක් වෙලාවට අපි කරන්නේ parent company එකේ portion එක විතරයි initial stage එකේදී consider කරන්නේ. Share capital 300,000. Retained earnings, right? We have to get the figure through our workings, right? And the other reserves, right? These three equity components are there: share capital, retained earnings, and other reserves, right? 25,000 is the parent company portion. Clear? That is how you need to put the figures at first, right? In terms of consolidated statement of financial position, right? Like that way you can prepare the P&L as well, or the right consolidated comprehensive income. Here we are going to console these three companies: South PLC, East PLC, and West PLC. See how I have taken the figures here. Revenue නම් මේ තියෙන line items මම මෙතනට consider කරන්නේ, right? Revenue නම් කීයද? South PLC this much, East PLC this much, West PLC this much, right? See here, South PLC and East PLC I have considered as it is. මේ දීපු figures මං ඒ විදිහටම මෙතනට අරගත්තා. But when it comes to West PLC, I have not considered this figure. That is 366,250, the revenue figure of West PLC. But here I have considered only this much, 91,563, or exactly 62.5. Why is that? අනිත් දෙකේ සම්පූර්ණ total revenue figures මං ඒ විදිහටම අරගෙන West PLC ලගේ විතරක් වෙනස් figure එකක් මෙතනට අරන් තියෙන්නේ. Balance sheet එකේදී අපි එහෙම කරේ නැහැ. Balance sheet එකේදී ඔක්කොංගෙම එකතු අපි ගත්තා. But when it comes to P&L, right? In terms of West PLC, we have not considered the total amount. Yes, only for 3 months. Here we have mapped these given information and we found West PLC has become a subsidiary for us on this date. මෙන්න මෙදා තමයි West PLC අපිට subsidiary එකක් උනේ. එහෙනම් West PLC subsidiary එකක් විදිහට අපි console කරන්න ඕන මෙන්න මේ මාස 3ට විතරයි. එහෙනම් අපිට total figure එක consider කරන්න බෑ. මේ total figure එක consider කරන්න බෑ. මේ total figure එක කියන්නේ මාස 12ක, අපි මාස 3ක විතරයි consider කරන්න ඕන. right? මාස 12න් මාස 3ක් විතරයි. ඒ කියන්නේ අර figure එකෙන් කීයෙන් which portion? 1/4. මෙන්න මේ figures වලින්, right? මේ figures වලින් 4න් එකක් විතරයි අපිට consolidated comprehensive income එක හදද්දි consider කරන්න පුළුවන්. right? Since we have acquired this on 31st December 2017, right? So like that way, revenue, cost of sales, gross profit, other income, operating expenses, we have considered profit before tax, tax and profit for the year. All the things coming from, right? All the figures have been extracted from these given information. And this profit for the year, when we are preparing consolidated comprehensive income, this profit for the year figure, we need to attribute to two parties. One is to our NCI, or non-controlling interest, and one is to parent company shareholders, right? In the profit for the year, මෙන්න මේ දෙන්නට කඩලා දෙන්න ඕන when we prepare in the consolidated comprehensive income. And we have two other comprehensive income sources, right? Those two also we need to consider. And The total comprehensive income also we need to attribute to these two parties, to NCI and to parent company shareholders. Right? So this is our third step. First, we need to map this given information, and then we need to determine on the group structure. Based on that, we have to calculate the effective holding and NCI percentages, and then we can consider then we can start ruling and consider the figures, initial figures for our P&L and balance sheet. Right? ඔය steps ටික තමයි අපි ඔය ආවේ. So far clear? මේ වෙනකන් කරපු ටික තේරුණා නේද? Right. Then what we need to do? Right? ඊට පස්සේ now we can move to additional information. Now we can move to additional information. Right. See additional information from A to J. Okay. Additional information A. South PLC has completed investment in cash as follow to acquire East PLC. Right? South PLC has completed investment in cash as follows to acquire East PLC. අපේ map එක complete වෙන්න අපි දැනගන්න ඕන investment value එක. ඒක හොයන්න details මෙයාලා දෙනවා. In additional information number A. What it says? At the date of acquisition, they have paid this much. Acquire කරගන්න දවසේම 50000ක් දීලා. After 1 year, 28,000. After 2 years, 31,360. And they have given us the rate of cost of capital as 12%. Right? මේ 50,000 හම්බ වෙන්නේ කවද්ද? On 1st of October 2012. Right. Here I will take it like this. Acquisition of East by South. Right. Here, asset acquisition date, they have paid 50,000. Acquire කරගන්න දවසේම 50,000 දෙනවා. Right? After 1 year, they pay how much? 28,000. අවුරුද්දකට පස්සේ 28,000. And after 2 years, 31,360. After 2 years, 31,360. Right? You know, this much of අපි cash value එක consider කරද්දී මෙන්න මෙච්චර cash දීලා තියෙනවා. 109,360. If you go through the balance sheet, right, see here, investment in subsidiaries. South PLC has invested on East how much? 109,360. හැබැයි අපිට මෙයාව ඒ විදිහටම consider කරන්න පුළුවන්. බෑ. ඇයි? මේ transaction වෙන්නේ එකම දවසක නෙවෙයි. The investment value කියලා අපි consider කරන්න ඕන acquisition date එකට value එක. Acquisition date එකෙන් අවුරුද්දකට පස්සේ values, අවුරුදු දෙකකට පස්සේ values අපිට ඒ විදිහටම consider කරන්න බෑ. Right? Therefore, we need to consider the figures as at the acquisition date. As at acquisition. Right? This 50,000 years as it is we can consider. හැබැයි මේ 28,000 අවුරුද්දකට පස්සේ amount එක. එහෙනම් අපි consider කරන්න ඕන acquire කරගන්න දවසේ value එක. Means what? We need to find this is the future value. We need to find the present value of this. Yes, we need to find the present value of this. So how can we find the present value? Present value, what is the formula we need to use? Present value equals what? Present value future value over 1 plus I the whole to the power a, right? So this is the formula we can use. Yes, okay, right? So this is the formula we can use to find the present value. You know, 28,000 formula එකට apply කරා. මෙයා තමයි future value එක. එයාව බෙදෙන්න ඕන කීයෙන්ද? 1 plus the rate is given as 12%. ගාන කියනවා 12% කියලා. Right? To the power 1. අවුරුද්දකට පස්සේනේ. එහෙනම් මේ 28,000 වල present value එක වෙන්න ඕන 25,000. මෙයාගේ this is the future value. Future value we need to divide by 1 plus the rate is 12% to the power 2 after 2 years. Again 25,000. It means the investment value we need to consider is how much? It should be 100,000. Right? The investment value is 100,000. You know, here the investment value should be 100,000, not 109,360. 1,09,360 නෙවෙයි ලක්ෂය තමයි අපි හරිම investment value එක වෙන්නේ. Right. Okay. Then, right. That is in terms of additional information given in A. In B, what it says? Fair value of net identifiable assets of East PLC was greater than 30,000 in comparison to that of the book on 1st October 2012. Right here, we should know who acquired whom at which percentage on which date and what should be the investment value and what is the net assets, right? What are the net assets of the subsidiary as at the acquisition date? Acquire කරගන්න දවසේ මෙන්න මේ අපේ subsidiary එකේ නැත්නම් අපේ acquiree ගේ right net assets කොහොමද කියන එක අපි දැනගන්න ඕන in consolidation, right? මෙතෙන්දි කියන්නේ මේ acquire කරගන්න දවසේ මෙයාගේ net assets වල book value එකට වඩා, right? book value එකට වඩා. ඒ කියන්නේ මෙන්න මේ cost of right identifiable net assets. acquire කරගන්න දවසේ net assets book value එකට වඩා කීයකින් වැඩිද? 30,000 වලින් වැඩි. ඒ කියන්නේ fair value adjustments ගිහිල්ලා තියෙනවා, right? When we are acquiring East PLC, we have some fair value adjustments to be made, or we need to take it into our books, right? මේ 30,000 කොහොමද ගිහිලා තියෙන්නේ? 50% of this excess related to PPE. මේ 30,000 වලින් 50% related to PPE of the East PLC and the rest related to internally generated intangible assets of the firm, which has not yet recognized in the financial statement of East PLC. Right? Fair value adjustment එකෙන් generate වෙච්ච දේවල් අපි financial statements වලට අරගෙන ගිහිල්ලා නැහැ. ඒ information එකයි කියන්නේ. Right. So here, as a result of fair value adjustment, PPE value has increased by 15,000 and intangible assets we need to recognize, and as intangible assets we need to recognize another 15,000, right? ඔය information එකයි අපිට කියන්නේ. මේවා අපි books වලට අරගෙන ගිහිල්ලා නැහැ. Therefore we need to take it into our books, right? Then and useful life of these assets was estimated to 10 years from 1st of October 2012 and should be write-off on a straight line basis. අපි PPE 15000ක් අඳුන ගන්නවා, intangible assets 15000ක් අඳුන ගන්නවා, over depreciable assets. PPE කියලා කියන්නේ depreciable asset එකක්, even intangible assets we can amortize. එහෙනම් amortize කරන්න නැත්නම් depreciate කරන්න they have given us, right, internally generated intangible assets. Is this an internally generated one? Internally generated intangible assets in normal circumstances we do not consider, but when it comes to consolidation we need to consider these internally generated intangible assets as well. Consolidation වලට consider කරනවා, right? අපි එහෙම නැතුව financial statements prepare කරද්දී, right, individual financial statements prepare කරද්දී internally generated intangible assets consider කරන්නේ නැහැ, right? As I can remember, that is how it was in the standard, right? Okay, right? So the useful life is estimated to be 10 years, right? Useful life figure 10 years from 1st of October 2012 from the acquisition date, right? Here it means we have not yet recognized these assets and we have not depreciated these assets either. අපි මේ assets අඳුනගෙනත් නැහැ. මේ assets අඳුනගත්තා නම් අපි depreciate කරන්න ඕන. අපි depreciate කරලත් නැහැ. Right? That is why they have given for how many they have given us these useful lives. Right? Right. In part B. Right? In part B, we have PPE and intangible assets. PPE and intangible assets. So this is on under depreciation. We have not depreciated these assets under depreciation. PPE additional 15,000 we need to recognize. Intangible assets additional 15,000 we need to recognize. For how many years we need to depreciate? අවුරුදු කීයක් මේව depreciate වෙන්න ඕනද? මේ additional assets අපිට එන්නේ as a result of the acquisition. Acquisition happens on which date? 1st of October 2012. මෙදා තමයි acquisition එක වෙන්නේ. Right? 1st of October 2012. 1st of October 2012. Now 1st of October 2012 ඉඳන් කවද වෙනකන් අපි depreciate කළේ නැද්ද? 31st March 2018. Right? We are preparing financial statements for this financial year ended on 31st March 2018. It means for how many years we need to consider the depreciation? මේ අඳුනගත්ත acquisition එකේ result එකක් නිසා අඳුනගත්ත assets අපි අවුරුදු කීයක් depreciate කරන්න ඕනද? කීයක depreciation consider කරන්න ඕනද? මෙතනට. From this date to this date, how many years? 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. මැදක් කියලා කියන්නේ 5.5 years. 5.5 years. Right? 5.5. This much of years we need to consider the depreciation. So the depreciation value should be how much? Depreciation value එක වෙන්න ඕන කීයද? Right? This is the additional value we have identified. Useful life is 10 years. For this much of years, we need to depreciate. Right? Here also the same. May assets decayment 16,500 we need to identify it as depreciation. We have under depreciated this much. Depreciate when on a mechara gana habai api tama depreciate kalla naha. There is an under depreciation. Right? Okay. Right. So those are the information given. No, there's something else. Right. Here, non-controlling interest value at the date of acquisition was separately estimated to 50,000 and decided to value non-controlling interest at full fair value method. Non-controlling interest NCI value, we know there are two bases. Either we can go for full fair value method or we can go for partial fair value method. Sorry, right? Full goodwill method or partial goodwill method. Here, in terms of the acquisition of East PLC, we need to consider what? NCI at proportionate basis second on fair value basis second. Right? We are using full fair value method. Right? Therefore, they have given us the fair value as well. So NCI at fair value. Here, NCI we need to consider here at fair value. And the fair value is given as 50,000. The investment hari, NCI at fair value hari. Right? Still we have not found these values. Tao may information apata dila naha. Gana isarahata de. Right. So from point to point we need to consider. Screen එකේ නම් ඉරියන් දින්න එපා. Right. That is all from part B. Part B වල කියන්න දේවල් ටික. Right? Fair value adjustments ගැන විස්තර දෙනවා. Under depreciation ගැන විස්තර දෙනවා. And the NCI figure. Right. Then part C. See what it says. Retained earnings of East PLC stood at the balance of 20,000 rupees and other reserves belongs to the post-acquisition period. Retained earnings of East PLC, East ke subsidiary stood at the balance of 20,000. Again, acquire karaganna davase retained earnings value එක 20,000. Acquire කරගන්න දවසේ net assets කීයද කියලා අපි දැනගන්න ඕන. Share capital කීයද, retained earnings කීයද, other reserves කීයද කියලා අපි දැනගන්න ඕන. එතකොට ඒ information තමයි part C වල දෙන්නේ. Retained earnings මෙන්න මෙදාට acquire කරගන්න දවසේ right it stood at 20,000. They have given that in part C. And other reserves belongs to the post acquisition period. Other reserves කියලා පෙන්නන right here. Other reserves කියලා East PLC lage පෙන්නන මේ 5000 it belongs to the post acquisition period. අපි acquire කරගත්තට පස්සේ තමයි මේ other reserves generate වෙලා තියෙන්නේ. Therefore, it means what? As at the acquisition date, acquire කරගන්න දවස වෙනකොට අපි ගාව කීයකවත් other reserves තිබිලා නැහැ. The balance is nil. Right? Balance is nil. ඔක්කොම other reserves generate වෙලා තියෙන්නේ post acquisition. acquire කරගත්තට පස්සේ. Right? Share capital ගැන විස්තර කියන්නේ. Therefore, we need to assume that it has not been changed. See here. Share capital of East PLC 80,000. Right? We assume the figure has not been changed. 80,000. Therefore, what should be the cost? Now we have all the three figures. What should be the cost of identifiable net assets? Acquire කරගන්න දවසේ share capital මෙච්චරයි, retained earnings මෙච්චරයි, other reserves තිබිලා නැහැ. එහෙනම් acquire කරගන්න දවසේ identifiable net assets වල cost එක කීයද? It is the sum of these three figures, 100,000. And as the result of the acquisition, we have done certain fair value adjustments. Therefore, what should be the fair value of identifiable net assets? Adjustments are to first say fair value of identifiable net asset value should be 130,000. Right? 130,000. එතකොට මේ පැත්ත complete. Investment value එක දන්නවා. NCI value එක දන්නවා. Fair value of identifiable net assets දන්නවා. Right? Okay. So those informations have given in additional information C. Right. Then we can move to part D. Here, the fair value of net identifiable assets of West PLC on 31st December 2000. Right. The fair value of net identifiable assets of West PLC on 31st December 2017 was equal to the book value of same. ඒ කියන්නේ fair value adjustments කියලා නැහැ. Cost of identifiable net assets කිව්වත් කියන value එකයි fair value of net identifiable assets කියන value එකයි දෙකම සමානයි. Right? Unlike in this situation, here we have two separate figures for the cost and fair value. But here, cost and fair value are the same. Right. Then other reserves belongs to the post-acquisition period. They are talking about West PLC. Right. Other reserves belongs to the post-acquisition period. See here, in terms of West, there are 2,000. Right, 2,000 worth of other reserves. This whole 2,000 belongs to the post-acquisition period. Means, as at the acquisition date, the balance of other reserves should be nil. With other reserves के लिए balance sheet के पेन देता हम post-acquisition. Acquire करगातर first generate वेच्चे का, है ना? Acquire करगाना दावसट other reserves balance के 0. Right? And further it says, assumes that incomes and expenses of West PLC were running evenly throughout 2017-18 financial year. Right? Income and expenses evenly බෙදලා ගිහිල්ලා තියෙනවා. right? ඒ කියන්නේ 12000ක revenue එකක් තිබ්බොතින් මාස 12 10 right? 1000 තමයි මාස 12ටම බෙදලා ගිහිල්ලා තියෙන්නේ. Right? The distribution is as such. Why they have given this information? To find the retained earnings as at this date. Wire කරගන්න දවසේ retained earnings හොයන්න තමයි ඔය information එක දෙන්නේ. ඇයි? මේ acquisition එක වෙලා තියෙන්නේ අවුරුද්ද මැද. Right? එහෙනම් අවුරුද්ද මුල retained earnings අපිට බලා ගන්න පුළුවන්. අවුරුද්ද අග retained earnings W වල අපිට බලා ගන්න පුළුවන්. Even they have given us the P&L, therefore we know the profit for the year. So we can find the value here, or the retained earnings value as at the acquisition date, or as at this date. Right? That is in part D. In part D, we need to find retained earnings as at the acquisition date. Wire කරගන්න දවස retained earnings කීයද? Right? So there should be an opening balance. For that, we need to add profit for the year, and then we will get the ending balance. Right. opening balance එක අපි ගාව නැහැ. හැබැයි අපි දන්නවා ending balance එක. Right? Retained earnings of the retained earnings as at the acquisition date of West PLC. මෙයාලගනේ අපිට ඕන. අපේ දෙවනි subsidiary එකේ. එයාලගේ retained earnings කීයද? In balance sheet, what is the amount? Here, retained earnings of West PLC 36,000. 36,000. Right? එහෙනම් මේ 36,000 එන්න ඇත්තේ කොහොමද? මේ 36,000 මෙතනට එන්නේ කොහොමද? ඕපනින් බැලන්ස් එකට අවුරුද්ද ලාභය එකතු වෙලා තමයි එන්ඩින් බැලන්ස් එක එන්නේ. ඕපනින් බැලන්ස් එක අපි දන්නේ නැහැ. හැබැයි අපි දන්නවා මොකද්ද? Profit for the year. Profit for the year figure we can find. කොහෙන්ද? Here in P&L. See what is the figure I need to consider here? මෙන්න මෙතෙන්ට මම consider කරන්න ඕන figure එක මොකක්ද? What should be the figure here? මේ තියෙන West PLC ලගේ P&L එක. Right? Gross profit is given, right? So I have given the word, right? Exact wording I have used here. Right? We need to consider the profit for the year. Profit for the year. නැත්නම් net profit එක තමයි ගිහිල්ලා අපි retained earnings වලට adjust කරන්නේ. Right? එහෙනම් 24,000 තමයි වර්ෂයේ ලාභය. 24,000. Yes, 24,000. Therefore, what should be the opening balance? Ending balance එක 36යි. Profit for the year 24,000. Therefore, what should be the opening balance? Opening balance එක වෙන්න ඕන කීයද? කීයද? This one minus this one. 12,000. Right? Opening balance එක අපිට directly දීලා නැහැ. We can find. Right? මේ දෙක එකතුව තමයි අවුරුද්දේ අන්තිමට ending balance එක විදියට balance sheet එකේ පෙන්නන්නේ. But here, right? What is the figure we need to consider? Right? What is the figure we need to consider? Asset acquisition, what should be the retained earning amount? Opening balance එකේ විදියට consider කරන්න පුළුවන්. But profit for the year, this total amount we cannot consider here. Right? Profit for the year, මේ total figure එක අපිට consider කරන්න බෑ. මාස කීයක් ගියාට පස්සේද අපි acquire කරගන්නේ? After 9 months. 2017-18 financial එකේ මාස 9කට පස්සේ තමයි acquire කරගන්නේ. Right? It means this is for 12 months. We need to consider the profit for 9 months. 18,000. Right? Therefore, the balance we can consider is 30,000. Right? එහෙනම් acquire කරගන්න දවසේ West PLC ලගේ retained earnings value එක should be 30,000. Here the value should be 30,000. That is how we can find the retained earnings of West as at the acquisition date. Right? Share capital normally does not change. Share capital value of West PLC is 100,000. Here it is 100,000. It means what should be the fair value of net identifiable assets? 130,000. Right? Here it is 130,000. Okay. Right. That is in terms of part D. And then further adjustments are given from point E onward. Acquisition එකට අදාළ informations තමයි මේ part D වෙනකන් දීලා තියෙන්නේ. Right? E වල ඉඳන් right we need they have given the other adjustments, right? Intercompany and URP, all that stuff. So what we are missing here? අපි මේ mapping එක complete කරගන්න තව miss වෙලා තියෙන්නේ මොනවද? Here we do not know the investment value. Investment value එක අපි මෙතෙන්ට අරන් ඇවිල්ලා නැහැ. East has invested how much on West to acquire this 60%? කොහෙන්ද බලා ගන්න පුළුවන්? Here in the balance sheet, East PLC has invested 100,000 to acquire West. So the investment value here should be 100,000, right? PLC kiyak invest kala tiyanada. South PLC has invested how much to acquire this 28% of West? South PLC to acquire 28% of West PLC, they have invested 35,000, right? 35,000. Okay, investment values are okay. Here, NCI, unlike in this case, in this acquisition, here they have not given anything on NCI. අපි දන්නවා NCI අපිට methods දෙකකට යන්න පුළුවන්, right? NCI අපිට methods දෙකකට යන්න පුළුවන්, right? We can go for what? Full goodwill method or partial goodwill method. මේ acquisition එකේ නම් ගිහලා තියෙන full goodwill method එකට. ඒක තමයි අපිට NCI at fair value figure එකක් ගානෙම කියන්නේ. හැබැයි මෙතන අපිට ගානේ fair value එකක් කියන්නේ නැහැ. Therefore we need to assume, right? Here we need to consider it at proportionate basis. Proportionate basis. What is the value? What is the value here? NCI at proportionate basis, කොහමද? Yes, right? We have 130,000 worth of identifiable net assets. Out of that, what is the NCI percentage we need to consider here? West PLC lage NCI percentage 30%, right? 30% of it means how much? 39,000. You need to be careful. Why? In these two separate acquisitions, they have used the two methods separately. May acquisition NCI at fair value. Here, when it comes to the acquisition of W, we are using NCI at proportionate basis, right? Okay, now our mapping is complete. All the figures we need, we have found, right? Then what we need to do? Right? So we can start our working number 1 on consolidation. Hope you know how to take these rows, right? අපි ගාව subsidiaries දෙකක් තියෙනවා. එක එක subsidiaries වල වෙන වෙනම, right? We need to have columns for goodwill and NCI. Right? Goodwill column for E, NCI column for E, goodwill column for W, NCI column for W, and the group retained earnings column. Right. So we have all the data to find the goodwill. So how can we find the goodwill? We need 3 things. Got it? Simple formula is what? Investment plus NCI minus net assets. Here, investment of E, East PLC. එයාට එකතු කරනවා NCI of East PLC, and from that we need to deduct net assets of East. Right? May abbreviations වලින් දානවා. I hope you know, right? NA for net assets, NCI non-controlling interest. Right. Investment value is how much? Investment value එක කීයද? Investment value. Here we have 109,360. But we know when consolidating, we are considering the investment as at the acquisition date. That is 100,000. හරි? එහෙනම් මේක double entry වෙන්නේ කොහමද? මේ 1,09,360 debit balance එකක් තියෙන්නේ. දැන් South PLC ලගේ account එක බැලුවොත් මේක debit balance එකක් investment කියලා ඇති. මෙයාව totally we need to credit. එතකොට ඒ account එක cancel වෙලා යනවනේ. Right? Total amount we credit 109,360. Out of that 100,000 we need to credit it over here. Sorry, debit it over here. 1,9360ම අර account එක බැර කරා. එතකොට ඒ account එකේ balance එක nil. කොහාට හරි හර කරන්න ඕනේ. එතනින් 100,000 debit වෙන්නේ මෙතනට. Right? Goodwill of E. තව 9,300 කීයද? 9,360ක් ඉතුරුයි. ඒ 9,360 මොකක්ද? What is this? What is that 9,360? That is the finance cost related with that investment, right? So that we need to debit to our group retained earnings. 9,360. 100,000 metenta debit to now. The rest of the 9,360 we have to debit to our group retained earnings. And that is our finance cost, the interest expense associated with that acquisition. Okay. NCI. Now from the graph, from this mapped information, we can directly take the figures. NCI of E. NCI of E is 50,000. Right? Debit it here, credit to the NCI account. Right? 50,000. Net assets, fair value of identifiable net assets is 130,000. Therefore, we deduct it over here. Means there is a goodwill of 20,000 generated from the acquisition of East. Right? East acquire කරගන්නකොට 20,000 goodwill එකක් generate වෙලා තියෙනවා. Right? Remember, this is not our final goodwill figure because there can be goodwill impairment. Goodwill impairment තියෙන්න පුළුවන්. Right? එහෙම තිබ්බොත් we need to adjust for those. Right. Then the goodwill we have calculated in terms of this acquisition. For this also we need to do the same. Right? Investment. Investment of West. We have invested 28%. Our subsidiary has invested 60%. Both we need to consider. First, W by S. කීයක් invest කරනවද? 35,000. Right? 35,000. අපි 35,000 directly invest කරනවා. අපේ subsidiary එක වෙච්ච East PLC, how much they invest? 100,000. But remember, we are preparing consolidated financial statements, right, as South PLC group. අපි South PLC group එක විදියටයි හදන්නේ. එතකොට 100,000 invest කරන්නේ අපි නෙවෙයි. අපේ subsidiary එක. එහෙනම් මේ 100,000 වලින් අපි කීයක් invest කරනවා හා සමානද? 100,000 directly we cannot consider here because we are not investing 100,000 directly on W. Our subsidiary is investing 100,000 on W. It means, what is the amount we need to consider here? Now, api kiyak invest karnawa ha samanada? Out of this 100,000, api effective holding percentage එක කීයද? 70%. Right? It means it's like we are investing 70,000 on W. Right? Therefore, we debited it here. එහෙනම් ඉතුරු 30,000 කාගේද? NCI of East PLC. Right? Debit it to NCI of East PLC. Right? Okay. Then NCI of West PLC we need to consider, and net assets of West PLC we need to consider. NCI of West PLC. Here, NCI of West PLC we have calculated 39,000. Right? 39,000. Debit it here, credit it to NCI account. Right? 39,000. Net assets fair value of identifiable net assets, here it is 130,000. 130,000. It means as a result of this acquisition, we have generated a goodwill of 14,000. Right? 14,000. Right. So then now we can move to the rest of the additional information or rest of the adjustments. Right? If I repeat, we have mapped the given acquisition details and we have constructed the group structure and we have determined effective holding and NCI percentages. Then we have started ruling the sum, and here we have considered line by line addition for all our assets and liabilities. When it comes to equity components, we have considered the amount belongs to the parent company only, right? When preparing the consolidated comprehensive income, right, there also we need to be careful if there is an acquisition during the financial year. Financial year එක මැද acquisition එකක් වෙනවා නම් එතෙන්දී අපි පොඩ්ඩක් පරිස්සම් වෙන්න ඕන අදාළ amounts විතරක් consider කරන්න. Right. Okay. Now we can move to other additional informations. So far clear? මේ වෙනකන් කරපු දේවල් ප්‍රශ්නයක් නෑ නේද? Right. Part E. See it here. Intercompany translation should be recovered via current accounts. Expect intercompany dividend. Intercompany transaction should be recorded via current accounts. එහෙනම් ඔය current account balances කියලා balance sheet එකේ පෙන්නන්නේ. Here current account කියලා balance sheet එකේ පෙන්නන්නේ intercompany transactions කියපුවා. එහෙනම් intercompany transactions we know when it comes to consolidation, right? We need to set off intercompany transactions, right? Intercompany balances අපි set off කරන්න ඕන. Right. For that, they have given this information. Point number E. Point number F, what it says. South PLC has given interest-free loan of 15,000 to West PLC. Here, interest-free loan, interest එකක් charge කරන්නේ නැහැ. Right? Charge කරන්නේ නැතුව loan එකක් නිකම්ම loan එකක් දීලා තියෙනවා 15,000. කවුද දෙන්නේ? South PLC කාටද දෙන්නේ? West PLC ලට. On 20th January 2018. Date එක අපිට ප්‍රශ්නයක් නැහැ. ඇයි? Interest එකක් කෙල්වෙන්නේ නැහැනේ. Interest free loan. Therefore, we do not want to bother about the date. Right? මේක අපි අවුරුද්ද මැදවත් නෙවෙයි, sorry, 31st වුණා නම් අපිට interest එක හොයන්න තිබ්බා. එහෙම හිතන්න දෙයක් නැහැ. Why? It is a interest free loan. Right? So this is okay. West PLC has settled this loan on 25th March 2018. January ගත්ත මාර්තු settle කරා. Sending a check to South PLC. Right? But the check was received to South PLC during the first week on April 2018 due to postal delay. January 15ක loan එකක් ගන්නවා, මාර්තු 1 ආයේ ගෙවනවා. check එකකින් ගෙවන්නේ, ඒ ගෙවපු check එක මෙයාලට හම්බ වෙන්නේ ඒප්‍රිල් වල. ඒ කියන්නේ South PLC මේක receivable වලින් අඩු කරගෙන නැහැ. Right? මෙයාට loan එකක් දුන්නට පස්සේ receivable account cash credit කරලා receivable debit කරන් ඉන්නවනේ. එතකොට payment එකේ එක පැත්තක right West PLC ලට මේක payable එකක්, South PLC ලට මේක receivable එකක්. Intercompany නිසා current accounts through යන්නේ. එතකොට check එක ගෙවපු නිසා West PLC payable එක අයින් කරගෙන තියාගෙන ඉන්නවා. හැබැයි South PLC receivable එක අඩු කරගෙන නැහැ. එහෙනම් අපි South PLC ලගේ පැත්තෙන් adjustment එක කරන්න ඕන. Point number කීයද මේ? F. Right? South PLC to West PLC. Right, South PLC to West PLC. Right. They have given a loan of 15,000 and this loan has already been settled but not recorded by South. South ke පැත්තෙන් record වෙලා නැහැ. South PLC පැත්තෙන් record වෙලා නැහැ. So what is the double entry they need to pass? What is the double entry they need to pass? South PLC loan එක දුන්නට පස්සේ loan එකක් දුන්නට පස්සේ මොකද්ද වෙන්නේ? South PLC ල මොකද්ද කරන්නේ? ඒක එයාලට receivable එක. එහෙනම් intercompany යන නිසා current account receivable කියන account එක debit කරන් ඇති. Cash එළියට ගියා cash account එක credit කරලා ඇති. Right? Cash credit, current account receivable debit. That is the double entry they pass in terms of this transaction. When it comes to settlement, what they need to do? එයාලට cash හම්බ වෙනවා. අනිත් පැත්තෙන් එයාලා තවදුරටත් receivable එක තියාගෙන යන්න ඕනේ නැහැ. Right? Current account receivable account need to be credited by 15,000. මේ cash තාම අපිට deliver වෙලා නැහැ. It is still in transit. Cash in transit. තාම අතරමැද එන ගම. Right? That we need to debit by 15,000. එක පැත්තකට අපි අරගන්න ඕන. අපේ financial statements හදන්න නම්. So we take it to the South PLC side. Right? So this is the double entry we need to pass. Cash in transit account debit 15,000. Current account receivable account credit 15,000. Cash in transit debit 15,000. Here cash and cash equivalent. Debit karna කියන්නේ we need to add 15,000 here. Cash in transit. On a debit kara. Where to credit? Credit to current account receivable account. Current account receivable account is here. We need to credit. Asset account එක credit කරන්න නම් කියලා කියන්නේ මොකද්ද? We need to deduct 15,000 from here. Cash in transit. Right? That is the adjustment we need to pass in terms of point number F. Cash in transit debit, current account receivable balance, current account receivable account credit. Okay. Right. That is point number F. Then G. What is it in G? South PLC has sold goods to East PLC and West PLC respectively. South PLC කියලා කියන්නේ අපි East PLC කියන subsidiary එකටත් goods විකුණලා තියෙනවා. West W කියන company එකටත් අපි භාණ්ඩ විකුණලා තියෙනවා. Respectively amounting at invoice price of 24,000 and 15,000 values දෙනවා. Goods worth at invoice price of 12,000 and 10,000 respectively remained at the store. Stores වල ඉතුරු වෙලා තියෙනව නම් ඔය විකුණපු දේවල් එතන ප්‍රශ්නයක්. Okay? So it will result in unrealized profits of East PLC and West PLC by the close of the current financial year. And their pricing policy is given. South PLC invoiced goods to East PLC having added margin of 20% on cost, and to West PLC having added margin of 10% on invoice price. Right. Point number G. South PLC has sold to East PLC and South PLC has sold to West PLC. Right. Here, invoice price is how much? To East PLC 24,000, To West PLC 15,000. Here 24,000. Here the invoice price is 15,000. And goods worth at invoice price of these figures remained at the store. Remained stock. මේ විකුණපු 24,000න් 12,000ක තොගයක් ඊස්ට් ගාව ඉතුරු වෙලා තියෙනවා. මේ 15,000න් 10,000 වෙස්ලා ගාව ඉතුරු වෙලා තියෙනවා at the year of the financial year. Right. And their pricing policies are given. Right. East PLC, South PLC invoice goods to East PLC having added margin of 20% on cost. Right. 20% on cost. This is their pricing policy. 20% on cost. Again, I will take it here. 20% on cost කිව්වොතින් කොහොමද වැඩි වෙන්නේ? අපි දන්නවා cost එකට profit එකක් එකතු කරලා තමයි selling price එක decide කරන්නේ. 20% on cost කිව්වොතින් කොහොමද ඒක? cost එක 100 නම් profit එක 20යි. Right? 20% on cost. Cost එකෙන් 20%. එහෙනම් selling price එක කීයද? Selling price කියලා කියන්නේ මේ දෙකේම එකතු 120. Right? මෙයාගේ pricing policy එක and to West PLC having added margin of 10% on invoice price. එයාගේ 10% on invoice price. 10% on invoice price. Right? 10% on invoice price. 10% on invoice price කිව්වොතින් එතකොට මේ figures වෙනස් වෙන්නේ කොහොමද? Invoice price නැත්නම් selling price. ඒ කියන්නේ selling price එක 100 නම් ඒකෙන් 10ක් profit එක. That is the idea. Right? If the selling price is 100, the profit should be 10. It means what should be the cost? Cost should be 90. Right? Cost should be 90. Therefore, we can find the unrealized profit of these two transactions separately. මේ දෙන්නගේ වෙන වෙනම අපිට unrealized profits හොයන්න පුළුවන්. Right? Here, remained stock is 12,000. Right? Remained stock is 12,000. මෙයාලගේ pricing policy එක යන්නේ මේ විදිහට. එහෙනම් this 12,000 is like this selling price. මේ invoice price එකනේ 12,000 ඉතුරු වෙලා තියෙන්නේ. කියන්නේ selling price figure එකක් තමයි මේ. එහෙනම් selling price එක 120ක් වෙද්දී ඒකේ ඇතුලේ කීයක profits තියෙනවද? When the selling price is 120, there is profit worth of 20. එහෙනම් 120ක් ඇතුලේ 20ක profit තියෙනව නම් මේ 12,000 ඇතුලේ කීයක profit ඇද්ද? Right? 2,000. So that is the unrealized profit amount generated here. Here, what should be the unrealized profit? මෙතන selling price එක 100ක් වෙද්දී ඔය 100 ඇතුලේ 10ක profit තියෙනවා. Right? When the selling price is 100, it includes a profit worth of 10. It means when the selling price, so when there is a remaining stock of 10,000, there should be an unrealized profit worth of 1,000. Right? So this is how can we calculate the unrealized profit figures. Right. Profit figures URP calculate madi. We need to know how to pass the double entries. Right? How to pass the double entries. කොහොමද? මේ 2000 unrealized profit කා ගාවද තියෙන්නේ? South PLC ගාවද East PLC ගාවද? මේ 2000 profit එක තියෙන්නේ කා ගාවද? මේ transaction එක නිසා profit හොයන්නේ කවුද? ඒ profit එක තියෙන්නේ කා ගාවද? South PLC Eastට විකුණනවා කියලා කියන්නේ, right? The profit is with S. Is it? Yes, the profit is with South PLC. එහෙනම් එයාලගේ profit එකේ තියෙන්න ඕනේ නැති 2000ක් තියෙනවා. ඒ profit unrealized profit amount එක එයාලගේ accounts වලින් අයින් කරන්න ඕන. එහෙනම් what we can do? we need to debit group retained earnings account, right, by 2000. Me amount taking group retained earnings debit karna. Group retained earnings account debit by 2000. By 2000, right? And where to credit? කොතනද මේක තියෙන්නේ? මේක ගිහිල්ලා inventory එක ASSIE තියෙන්නේ. එහෙනම් inventory account we need to credit 2000. Inventory එකනොත් අයින් කරන්න ඕන. Right? Inventory එකනොත් අයින් වෙන්න ඕන. Here also the same, right? මෙතන South PLC Westලට විකුණනවා. එතකොට profit එක තියෙන්නේ South PLC ගාව. Right? Here also group retained earnings we need to debit and inventory account we need to credit. The amount is 1000. Now මෙන්න මේ entries දෙක අපි pass කරන්න ඕන. In terms of point number G. Group retained earnings account debit 2000. Group retained earnings, we have it in our working URP, unrealized profit. How do we run south to east? We need to debit 2000. Means we need to deduct 2000. Where to credit? Inventory account we need to credit. Here we need to credit 2000. URP, unrealized profit. Group retained earnings account debit 1000. Here unrealized profit. South PLC has sold to West PLC. We need to debit here 1000. Right? Credit to where? Credit to inventory account. Inventory account credit 1000. This is unrealized profit. Debit and credit entries in terms of point number G. Clear? Right. Then that is G. Then point number H. What it says. East PLC has sent remittance of 5,000 to South PLC. අපේ subsidy එක අපිට ගෙවලා 5000. For the goods purchased, the remittance, right? For the goods purchased, අපි purchase කරපු goods වලට, right? Sorry, East PLC අපෙන් goods purchase කළා තියෙනවා. ඒකට 5000ක් අපිට ගෙවලා. The remittance was not received to South PLC by the close of the current financial year. South PLC ලට ලැබිලා නැහැ. ඒ කියන්නේ යාලා ඒ සම්බන්ධයෙන් මුකුත් entry එකක් pass කරලා නැහැ. අපි එක පැත්තකට ගන්න වෙනවා. Therefore we have to record it for South PLC. Right. H. Yeah. East PLC has paid to us. Okay, කියන්නේ East PLC South PLC ලට ගෙවලා තියෙනවා. Right? Remittance worth of 5,000, but South PLC has not recorded it. Record කරගෙන නැත්නම් ලැබිලා නැති නිසා, right? තාම cash ලැබිලා නැහැ. So how can we record in the books of South PLC? කොහොමද මෙයාගේ record with record වෙන්න ඕන? සල්ලි ලැබුණම මොකද්ද? Cash, but this is we cannot directly consider as cash. It is still in transit. Therefore, cash in transit account debit 5,000. Right? Cash in transit account debit 5,000. Where to credit? කොහාටද credit කරන්නේ? මේ 5000 කොහාටද credit කරන්නේ? This is an intercompany transaction. Yes. This is an intercompany transaction. Intercompany transactions are recorded through current accounts. Current accounts are recorded වෙනවා කියලා කවුද කියන්නේ? Right? මෙතන intercompany transaction should be recorded via current accounts. Therefore, current account, receivable account එකද payable account එකද? receivable account should be credited by 5,000. Right? Current account, receivable account, credit 5,000. Okay. Cash in transit, debit 5,000. Cash in transit, debit 5,000. Debit කියලා කියන්නේ මෙයාට එකතු වෙන්න ඕන තව 5,000. Cash in transit. Right? And we have to we have to credit current account, receivable account, credit 5,000. Here we have current account, receivable account. This we need to credit by 5,000. Cash in transit. Right? That is point number H. H wala adjustment take. Right. Point number I, what it says. 3 companies propose dividends as follows. South PLC 20,000, East and West PLC 10,000 each. Right? Proposed dividends. Dividend payable at leti. Right here, dividend payable. Main information එකම තමයි point number I වල කියන්නේ. Right? A information එක දුන්නේ නැති වුණත් we should know we need to set off intercompany balances. Right? Why? In East PLC, we have acquired 70%. In terms of West, we have acquired 28% and our subsidiary has acquired 60%. Right? Where information එක දුන්නේ නැති වුණත් අපි දැනගන්න ඕන dividend payable තිබ්බොතින් right intercompany balance එක අඳුනගෙන ඒක set off කරලා දාන්න. Right. Point number I. Point number I. Intercompany dividend. Intercompany dividend. Right. So we have South PLC and East PLC. Right. Right. So we were in intercompany dividend. Yes. So South, East, and we have East and West. Right. Right. We do not want to worry about the dividend payable amount of South PLC. මෙයාලගේ මේ 20,000 කියන අපිට worry වෙන්න දෙයක් නැහැ. ඇයි? ඒකෙන් අපේ intercompanies වලට කීයකවත් amount එකක් යන්නේ නැහැ. Right. Okay. So this out of this 20,000, nothing goes to E and nothing goes to W. Therefore, there is no intercompany dividend associated with this 20,000. Right? That is clear. May 20,000 වලින් intercompany dividend එකක් යන්නේ නැහැ. මෙයාට කීයක්වත් යන්නෙත් නැහැ. මෙයාට කීයක්වත් යන්නෙත් නැහැ. හැබැයි right? Out of the 10,000 of East PLC and out of the 10,000 of West PLC, some figures belong into South and some figures belong into East. If you take this one, this 10,000, මෙන්න මේ dividend payable 10,000 වලින් කීයක් South PLC ලට එන්න ඕනද? Right? South PLC has acquired 70% of East PLC, isn't it? S කියන එකනා E කියන කම්පැනි එකේ 70ක් acquire කරගෙන ඉන්නේ. එහෙනම් මේ dividend 10000 ගෙවන්න ඕන එකෙන් 70ක් යන්න ඕන South PLC ලට. Right? It means out of this 10,000, 70% should be of South PLC. 7,000 South PLC lagi. Right? ඉතුරු ටිකෙන් 100යි. Here, in terms of West PLC, අපි 128ක් directly acquire කරගෙන තියෙනවා. අපේ subsidiary එක 160ක් acquire කරගෙන තියෙනවා. එහෙනම් මේ 10000න් අපිට 128ක් එන්න ඕන. අපේ subsidiary එකට 160ක් යන්න ඕන. Right? Out of this 10,000, we have acquired 28%. Therefore, 28% should be belongs to us. East PLC, our subsidiary has acquired 60%. Therefore, 60% for our subsidiary East PLC. Now, intercompany balance key. What should be the total intercompany dividend amount? It is the sum of these three figures, 15,800. Right? 15,800 we need to set off. May 15,800 set off karanna on. Right here. Dividend receivable 15,800 pennana. Right? Set off karanna mokada karanna. Right? This 15,018 we need to credit. Credit 15,000. This is intercompany dividend. Right? 15,800. 15,800 මෙතනින් ගියා. Payable වලිනුත් ඔය 15,800 අයින් වෙන්න ඕන. Intercompany dividend. Need to deduct. Right? So the dividend, payables, receivable, we have set off. Right? This is how we can generate the balance. කීයක් set off කරන්න ඕනද කියලා හොයාගන්න මෙහෙම. Right. And the last additional information. Impairment test was carried out on 31st March 2018. අපි financial year එක අන්තිමට අපි impairment test එකක් කරලා තියෙනවා and decided to write off goodwill. Goodwill එක write off කරන්න වෙලා by 2,000 and 1,000 respectively from East PLC and West PLC. 20,000, 14,000 කියලා generate වෙච්ච goodwill වලින් මෙන්න මේ කියන amounts impair වෙලා. එහෙනම් ඒවා අපි අයින් කරන්න ඕන. Right. Goodwill impairment, point number J. Goodwill impairment. Goodwill impairment. Right. Goodwill of East PLC has been impaired by 2,000. එහෙනම් මෙයාට කොහොමද පාස් කරන්නේ? Right. East PLC 2,000 පාස් කරන්නේ කොහොමද? Goodwill එක impair වෙලා නම් no doubt the value of the goodwill should goes down. එහෙනම් goodwill account එක මොකක් වෙන්න ඕනද? credit වෙන්න ඕන. Goodwill account we need to take it here. Goodwill account we need to credit by 2,000. Right? Goodwill account we need to credit by 2,000. Debit කරන්නේ කොහාටද? Where to debit? ඔතනදි තමයි අපි බලන්න ඕන මොකක්ද? අපිට එකපාර මේ 2000 වෙන කොහාට හරි debit කළා දාන්න බෑ. We need to see what is the right basis we have used to calculate NCI. අපි NCI value එක assess කරලා තියෙන්නේ තක්සේරු කරලා තියෙන්නේ මොන basis එකටද? Whether we have used the full goodwill method or whether we have used the partial goodwill method. East PLC acquisition එකේ here East PLC acquisition එකේ අපි මොන method එකටද ගිහිලා තියෙන්නේ? We have valued NCI at fair value. නැත්නම් අපි පාවිච්චි කරලා තියෙන මොන method එකද? Full goodwill method එක. එහෙනම් impairment එකක් වුණොතින් ඒක අපිටත් බෙදෙන්න ඕන. අපේ NCI ලටත් බෙදෙන්න ඕන. Both the parent company shareholders and NCI should bear the impairment. එහෙනම් parent company කිව්වොතින් මොකද්ද? Group retained earnings. Right? Group retained earnings account should be debited. And NCI of E, NCI of East PLC also need to be debited. Proportion එක අපි හොයාගන්නේ කොහොමද? Right? Here, when it comes to East PLC, we are effectively holding 70% and the NCI percentage is 30%. It means out of this 2,000, 70% should belongs to group retained earnings and rest of the 30% should belongs to NCI. So this is the entry we need to pass in terms of the impairment of goodwill of East PLC. Right? East PLC lagi impairment එක. Right. NCI of E debit 600. NCI of E in අපේ working එකේ here goodwill impairment. Right. NCI of E we need to debit 600. Debit kara. I group retained earnings account debit 1,400. Goodwill impairment group retained earnings මෙතන එයා debit වෙනවා 1,400. Where to credit? Here we need to credit it to the goodwill account. Right? Goodwill account take a credit 2,000. Here goodwill account we have it here. Out of this 20,000 we need to deduct 2,000. This is the double entry. Right? Addition subtraction තිබ්බද මේ ඇත්තටම double entry. Right? Goodwill account credit, NCI debit, group retained earnings debit. That is in terms of the impairment of East. And how much has been impaired in West PLC? West PLC lagi goodwill එක කොච්චරකින් impair වෙලාද? By 1,000. Right? එහෙනම් එතන මොකද්ද වෙන්නේ? West PLC lagi they are also no doubt goodwill account we need to credit. Goodwill account credit by 1,000. Goodwill එක impair වෙනවා කියලා කියන්නේ goodwill balance එක අඩු වෙනවා. Right? Credit 1,000. Here we are to debit. කලින් එකේ නම් NCI එක value කරේ මෙන්න මේ situation එකේදී NCI එක value කරේ full goodwill method එකට. නැත්නම් NCI fair value එකට දුන්නා. Here we have used partial goodwill method, or we have assessed the NCI value at proportionate basis. Proportionate basis එකට NCI assess කරොතින් අපි the total amount we need to debit to whom? Group retained earnings. Group retained earnings වලට විතරයි debit වෙන්නේ. 1,000. එතනදී right, we do not debit any amounts to NCI. So this double entry is based on the basis we have used to calculate NCI. Yes, group retained earnings. Now we need to pass this entry. Group retained earnings debit 1,000. May goodwill impairment of East. Now we have goodwill impairment of West. Group retained earnings debit 1,000. And what is the other one? Group retained earnings account debit 1,000. Goodwill account credit 1,000. Here goodwill account is here. Credit 1,000. This is the double entry. Right? So those are from additional information. Additional information වලට අපි treat කරලා ඉවරයි. Then what we need to do? ඊට පස්සේ අපි මොකද්ද කරන්න ඕන? Then what we need to do? Means step by step එන්නේ. Right? මතකයි. map කරගත්තා. Right? Figures, initial figures ටික අරගත්තා. Right? Then We have calculated the goodwills, then we have treated for other adjustments. Then what we need to do? What should be our next step? We need to calculate the post acquisition. Yes, we need to calculate the post acquisition figures, right? Post acquisition of East PLC, right? Here we have effective holding percentage of 70% and our NCI percentage is 30%. So what are the equity components we are having? We have retained earnings and we have other reserves, right? As at the balance sheet date, what is the retained earning balance of East PLC? Balance sheet date as at 31st March 2018. What is the retained earnings balance of East PLC? Retained earnings of East PLC as at the balance sheet date 65,000. 65,000 balance එකක් තියෙනවා. Other reserves, there is a balance of 5,000. There is a balance of 5,000. Right. What are the balance as at the acquisition date? As at the acquisition date, East PLC අපි acquire කරගනිද්දි 2012 retained earnings කීයක් තිබ්බද? අපි map කරපිකෙන් ගන්න පුළුවන්. මේ තියෙන්නේ. අපි acquire කරගන්න දවසේ retained earnings තිබිලා තියෙනවා 20000. 20,000. Other reserves nil, 0. It means what should be the post acquisition amount? Post acquisition amount එක කීයද? Right, 65,000 minus 20,000, 45,000. Other reserves post acquisition amount එක 5,000. Can acquire කරගත්තට පස්සේ retained earnings 45,000කින් වැඩි වෙලා other reserves 5,000කින් වැඩි වෙලා. මෙතනදී අපිත් පොත්වලට අරගෙන ආපු නැති transaction එකක් තියෙනවා තාම. What is that? That's a transaction which we have not recognized in our books yet. What? This fair value adjustment we have not taken into our books yet. අපි තාම මෙන්න මෙයාව books වලට අරන් ආවේ නැහැ. Right? Net assets මෙයා fair value of identifiable net assets වලට මෙතන අපි consider කරලා තියෙනවා විතරයි. Right? මෙයාගේ debit entry අපි තාම pass කරලා නැහැ. Here PPE, we need to identify another 15,000. Right? This is fair value adjustment. As a result of the acquisition, we have done a fair value adjustment and we got to know our PPE value should be increased by 15,000. And our intangible asset should be goes up by 15,000. Fair value adjustment. Fair value adjustment. අපි මේව ඔන්න පොත්වලට අරගෙන ආවා. PPE and intangible assets, right, as a result of our fair value adjustment. And these are depreciable assets. PPE කියලා කියන්නේ depreciable asset එකක්. Intangible assets also we can amortize. However, we have not recognized the depreciation yet. තාම අපි මේකේ depreciation recognize කරලා නැහැ. Right? Part B වල අපි කැල් කරගෙන තියාගෙන හිටියා. Here under depreciation මේව අපි තාම accounts තියලා නැහැ. So now we need to account for these. 8,250ක් depreciate කරන්න ඕන එකක් කරලා නැහැ. එහෙනම් අපි දැන්වත් මේක depreciate කරන්න ඕන. So what is the double entry we need to pass here to identify this 8,250? මෙයාට අදාළව pass වෙන්න ඕන double entry මොකක්ද? මේ expense එක කාගේද? Who's this expense? Depreciation කියලා කියන්නේ expense එකක්නේ. ෂෙයා කියලා කියන්නේ වියදමක්. මේ වියදම කාගේද? නැත්නම් මේ අලුතෙන් අඳුනගත්ත assets කාගේද? මේ 15000ක PPE අපි අඳුනගෙන තියෙන්නේ. ඒ අඳුනගත්තේ කාගේ assetsද? Whose assets are those? Yes, those are the assets of East PLC. මෙයාව acquire කරගනිද්දි මෙයාගේ අපි right fair value of identifiable net assets වල fair value එකයි assess කරන්නේ. එතකොටයි අඳුනගත්තේ මෙයාගේ මෙන්න මේ values දෙකත් එන්න ඕන කියලා. එහෙනම් මේ තියෙන්නේ east අදාළ values. එහෙනම් මේ PPE value එක east ගේ. මේ intangible assets east ගේ. east PLC ලගේ. එහෙනම් මෙයාගේ depreciations අඳුන ගන්න ඕන කවුද? depreciation අඳුන ගන්න ඕනත් east PLC. Therefore, what should be the double entry? What should be the double entry? මෙතන මොකද්ද වෙන්න ඕන? Group retained earnings debit කළොතින් වැරදි. අපි debit කරන්න ඕන කාගේ retained earnings? Retained earnings of East PLC. එයි මේ asset එක East PLC ලගේ. East ගේ. South PLC ලගේ නෙවෙයි. එහෙනම් depreciation recognize කරගන්න ඕන East PLC ලා. එහෙනම් ඒකේ debit entry yes retained earnings of East PLC. Debit entry එන්න ඕන මෙයාට. Right? Where to credit? This is debit. Where to credit? Credit කරන්න ඕන කාටද? PPE නම් PPE, right? Intangible assets නම් intangible assets. Credit. I will have the both here. Right? PP retained earnings of East PLC debit. This is in terms of PPE. Yeah? PPE වලට දාලා under depreciation එක. Debit by 8,250. 8,250. May entry pass වෙන්නත් ඕන. In terms of intangible assets, right? ඒකත් East PLC ලගේ නම් East PLC ලගේ retained earnings වලින් තමයි අඩු වෙන්නේ. East PLC should be debited 8,250, right? And intangible assets should be credited 8,250. Intangible assets account. These two entries we need to pass. First, retained earnings of East PLC debit 8,250. Yes, right? මෙයාව pass කරන්න පුළුවන් කොහොමද? PPE credit 8,250 no doubt. PPE ඉන්නේ මෙතන. මෙයාව credit කරනවා කියලා කියන්නේ අඩු වෙනවා 8,250. This is under depreciation. Under depreciation. ප්‍රශ්නයක් නැහැ. ඔන්න credit කරා. Debit කරන්න ඕන කවුද? Retained earnings of East PLC. මේ කවුද? මේ group retained earnings. Retained earnings of East PLC ල නම් අපි ඒක consider කරන්න ඕන මෙතන. Right? Under depreciation. Right? Debit වෙන්නයි ඕන. ඒ කියන්නේ we need to deduct 8,250 here. Right? Under depreciation of PPE. Now debit kara, right? In the balance sheet we have credit it under PPE. The same in terms of intangible assets. Intangible asset account credit 8,250. Intangible assets here credit 8,250 as under depreciation and debit it to retained earnings of East. Right? Credit it over here. Group retained earnings වෙනයි, subsidiaries වල retained earnings වෙනයි. Right? අපේ working එකට මෙයාව ගන්න බෑ. උඩ working එකට ගන්න බෑ. post acquisition හොයද්දී අපිට යාව consider කරන්න වෙයි. Right. Okay. Now then we can exactly determine our post acquisition amounts. Right? Post acquisition figures. Here. Right. Retained earnings post acquisition තියෙනවා East ලගේ 28,500. Other reserves තියෙනවා 5,000. Here. Post acquisition of retained earnings of East PLC. අපි මොකද්ද කරන්නේ? Post acquisition මේ 28,500 අපි මොකද්ද කරන්නේ? මේ 28,500ම අපේ නෙවෙයි. right? acquire කරගත්තට පස්සේ හොයපු මේ 28,500ම East PLC වල හොයපු මේ 28,500ම අපේ නෙවෙයි. මේක කාට කාට විදලා යන්න ඕනද? අපිටයි NCI ලටයි විදලා යන්න ඕන. right? Out of this 28,500, how much belongs to us? මේ 28,500න් අපිට කීයකයි තියෙද? We are effectively holding 70% of this. Right? It means 19,950 belongs to us. Rest of the 30% should be to whom? Rest of the 30% should be to NCI. Right? NCI ලට යන්න ඕන මේ 28,500න් ඉතුරු 100ට 8,550. ඔය විදියටයි මේ දිනට විදලා දාන්න ඕන. Then we have post acquisition of other reserves. Post acquisition of other reserves of East PLC. Right? Other reserves post acquisition amount එක තියෙනවා 5000ක්. මේ 5000න් අපේ කීයක්ද? 170ක්. Right? මේ retained earnings නෙවෙයි. Right? ඒ නිසා මේ column එකට ගන්න බෑ. This is other reserves. Right? Out of this 5,000, 70% belongs to us. Here, out of that 5,000, 70% belongs to us. Right? 70% belongs to us. Rest of the 30%, ඉතුරු 130 යන්නේ කාටද? NCI of East. Out of this 5,000, rest of the 30% goes to NCI of East PLC. Yeah. Right. Like that way, we need to calculate the post acquisition figures for West PLC also. Retained earnings තියෙනවා, other reserves තියෙනවා. Those are the two equity components. Right. As at the balance sheet date, West PLC retained earnings as at the balance sheet date 36,000. Other reserves තියෙනවා 2,000. As at the acquisition date, from the mapped information we can take the figures. As at the acquisition date, how much of retained earnings were there? 30,000. Pay කරගන්න දවසේ other reserves තිබිලා නැහැ. 0. Means the post acquisition figures should be here. 36,000 minus 30,000, 6,000. Here 2,000. West PAC lagi post acquisition figures. Post acquisition retained earnings of West, post acquisition other reserves of West. Retained earnings මේ 6,000ම අපේ නෙවෙයි. Right? ඔය 6,000ම අපේ නෙවෙයි. අපිට අඳුන ගන්න පුළුවන් කීයක් විතරද? right? Here we are effectively holding how much? 70% of West PLC. So we can identify only 70% of this. And that is 4,200. Rest of the 30% goes to whom? ඉතුරු 130 යන්නේ කාටද? NCI of West PLC. Right? මෙන්න මෙයාට. Out of this 6,000, 30% belongs to NCI, 1,800. Post acquisition other reserves. There is an amount worth of 2,000. මේ 2,000 කීයක් අපේද? Here 70% we are effectively holding. Therefore, out of this 2,000, we can record an amount worth of 70,000. Right? අපිට 170යි. ඉතුරු 130 W වල NCI ලට. Out of this 2,000, 30% belongs to NCI of W, 600. Right? Then what we need to do? ඊට පස්සේ අපි මොකද්ද කරන්නේ? Right? Then what we need to do? We need to consider the balance sheet retained earnings amount of our parent company. Right? Retained earning amount of South PLC as at the balance sheet date. We need to consider here. Retained earnings of the parent company as at the balance sheet date, 180,000. That's all. Right? So now we can have the figures. Here, goodwill, කීයක් එනවද? 18,000. Here we have 13,000. NCI of E. We have this much. NCI of W, we have 41,400. And group retained earnings worth of 189,360. Sorry, 390. Right. So we can take these figures to our consolidated financial statement, right? Goodwill 18,000 here. Goodwill 18,000. This is the goodwill of East plus 13,000. That is the goodwill of West. Right? Those two figures we considered. Then NCI of E 29,450. NCI here 29,450. NCI of E East PLC. For this we need to add this figure. NCI of W 41,400. Right? 41,400. This is NCI of W. Right? And finally, the group retained earnings figure as at the balance sheet date. 189,390. Here 189,390. That's all. So we can have the figures here. This one plus 15,000 minus 8,250. Here it is 40,000. Here 15,000 minus 8,250. Here 18,000 plus 13,000, 31,000. Inventories, this figure minus 2000 minus 1000. Here it is 30,000. Here 70,000 minus 15,000 minus wait. Current account balances. Current accounts intercompany transactions, right? Payable value receivable value. So we should be able to set off these two. See here, 70,000 initial balance line by line right? After we have passed these two adjustments, this balance has become 50,000. Then current account receivable 50,000. Payable balance it is also 50,000. So these two balances we can set off, right? 50,000 intercompany balances. Here also we can deduct the other 50,000 as intercompany balance. So the balance should be nil. Dividend receivable also, but the balance should also be nil. Cash and cash equivalents. We have this much. Cash in transit 15,000 plus 5,000. So total assets, 1,094,340. Right? Share capital, parent company portion as it is, we can consider. Other reserves, right? Parent company 25,000 and post acquisition here 5,000 into 70% plus 2,000 into 70%, 29,900. NCI 29450 plus 41,400. Non-current liabilities as well as trade payables. Here dividend payable 40,000 intercompany 15,800. Current account payable balance is nil. So total equity and liability we will have 1,094,340. Right? Consolidated financial consolidated statement of financial position balance right? 1,094,340. Right? So we'll quickly work through the consolidated comprehensive income as well. So we have taken these figures and we need to do the adjustments, right? If you can remember, now it is very easy. We are only looking at this, right? Retained earnings columns. First, there is a debit of 9,360. What is this? Interest expense, right? Me interest expense consider finance expense, right? 9,360 interest. Then what else? Consider. Then this one. Unrealized profit intercompany balances involved. Unrealized profit. S has sold to E 2,000. Me 2,000 generate when mono transaction again. Right? That is why workings are very important for us. Me 2,000 generate when mono transaction again. They have sold goods worth of 24,000. Maybe sell again tamai 2,000 generate pen. Therefore, we need to set off this 24,000. Intercompany transaction set off karannon. Right? How? එක්කෙනෙක් ඕක revenue විදිහට අඳුනගෙන ඇති අනිත් එක්කෙනා cost of sales විදිහට අඳුනගෙන ඇති right එහෙනම් revenue වලින් 24000 අයින් වෙනවා intercompany transaction and from cost of sales also we need to deduct 24000 intercompany transaction unrealized profit මේ 2018 අපි මොකද කරන්න ඕන right retained earnings debit වෙනවා right retained earnings debit වෙනවා එහෙනම් what we should add it to cost of sales right 2000 unrealized profit then the other one this one so this 1000 has been generated because of this transaction so we need to set off this 15000 first from revenue we need to deduct 15000 this is an intercompany transaction and from cost of sales we need to deduct 15000 intercompany transaction unrealized profit we have to adjust it under cost of sales plus 1000 URP right done. Then we have two goodwill impairments right 1400 and 1000 right 1400 and 1000 here under operating expenses under operating expenses right okay so here goodwill impairment we have how much 1400 and 1000 right here 1400 group retained earnings වලට ඇවිල්ලා 600 NCI වලට ගියා but we are doing the allocation here right profit after tax attributable to NCI and parent company shareholders therefore instead of 1000 we need to consider all the 2000 the impairment value of 2000 here right operating expenses goodwill impairment of 2000 goodwill impairment this is of east and right, so this is an expense so we add the other 1000 that is goodwill impairment of W right. And then post acquisition we are not going to consider it to our comprehensive income right and then additionally we have these two right these two entries we need to consider when preparing the consolidated comprehensive income under depreciation of these two figures we are considering it under operating expenses so I will consider the both at once 16500 this is under depreciation right under depreciation okay so that is all when it comes to yes that is all when it comes to P&L so we can have the figures here it is the sum of these three figures minus 24,000 minus 15,000 here also sum of these three figures minus 24,000 plus 2,000 minus 15,000 plus 1,000. So we will have the gross profit amount of this much. And other income, no adjustments, right? Operating expenses, we have adjustments, right? Goodwill impairment of 2,000 and 1,000, and under depreciation of 16,500. Finance cost, we have 9,360. Therefore, yes, therefore we have a profit before tax worth of 95,953. Tax වල මේ තුනේ එකතුව 45,814. So we have this much of profit for the year. Right. So now we need to divide this profit figure between NCI and parent company shareholders. A profit for the year figure එක 50,140 අපිට NCI ලටයි parent company shareholders ලටයි බෙදලා දාන්න වෙනවා. Right? So how can we do that? How can we distribute these figures? Here. When we take East PLC, මෙයාලගෙන NCI generate when NCI of East, NCI of W. When we take East PLC, this is this much of profit they have earned during the period, 31,000, right? But in our workings, we saw that there are adjustments to these profits, right? මෙන්න මේ adjustment එක යන්න ඕන. එතකොට under depreciate වෙලා තියෙන නිසා this much of amount they need to deduct from their profit for the year figure. මේ profit එකෙන් 16,005 under depreciation එක අපි මේකට adjust කරන්න ඕන. Right? Of this, we need to consider the NCI percentage of 30%. Profit for the year 31,000. Under depreciation make adjust වෙලා නැහැ. නැතිව තමයි මේ 31,000 කියලා තියෙන්නේ. Under depreciation අර දෙකේම එකතුව 16,500 තිබ්බා. එයත් adjust කරාට පස්සේ amount එකෙන් 30% අපි NCI ලට allocate කරනවා. In terms of West PLC, no any adjustment for the post no any adjustment for the post acquisition figure. So they have generated a profit of 6,000. Right? 6,000 profit එකක් generate කරලා තියෙනවා. Out of this, the NCI percentage is 30%. NCI කියලා ගන්නේ මෙන්න මේ percentage, right? Here, East PLC වල NCI 30%, West PLC NCI 30%. Those two figures. now මෙතන කීයක් එනවද? 14,500 වලින් 30%. For that, we need to add 6,000 into 30%. 6,150. It means rest is belonging to parent company shareholders. That is how we do the allocation between NCI and parent company shareholders. Right? Other comprehensive income, no difference. We need to consider the total of these three. Here also we need to do the allocation, right? Method allocation again, we have done this adjustment, 31,000 minus 16,500. So it will be 14,500. 14,500 වලට මොකද්ද වෙන්නේ? එන්න මේ දෙන්න එකතු වෙනවා 2,000 plus 3,000, all together 5,000. 31,000 වලට under depreciation adjustment එක කරා, then we will have 14,500. For that, we have added these two figures, other comprehensive income figures, East PLC levy, 2,000 and 3,000, altogether 5,000. The NCI percentage is 30% of East, For West also we need to do the same. 6,000 profit for the year amount එකක් තිබ්බා. Other comprehensive income තියෙනවා යාළගේ 500ක්. This 500 out of this 30%. It means out of 19,500 into 30% plus 6,500 into 30%. 7,800 total comprehensive income attributable to NCI. Then it means the remaining amount should be attributable to right, parent company shareholders. This is how the allocation is done. Okay. This is how we can generate the answer for consolidation sum in 2018 paper. Right? Come there, step by step, you need to enter to this kind of a sum with a fresh mind. It all we take step by step follow karla, right? Additional information not one by one gun. Right? So it is not that difficult, but it consumes bit more time. Right? Amaru na ekama de product velawa manage karaganna එක තමයි. Right? So with that, shall we stop?